Having trouble connecting. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I think we're live.
Yeah,
I didn't get my counter. I'm a bit
yeah,
disappointed. Let me just check that we're
devastated.
live. Hang on. Let me just check on Facebook. 2 seconds, and then we'll start proper because I have to do the intro, don't I? Yay, we're on. Right.
Cool.
Hello. Hello and welcome to the Supernatural Podcast. I'm Jill and I'm here with my podcasting partner, Dan.
Hello, Jill, and hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Hello. I can't get over the fact that people can still see us, you know? It's like I have to think about hair and makeup now, whereas I never used to.
The hair and makeup department got to come in and
Yeah.
help
I
out.
need like professional help nowadays, you know? So we are live on Facebook, on my Facebook page. We are also live in YouTube.
So yeah, we're live. We're going out live now. So like you said last time, we're gonna try not to make any mistakes, but it's gonna happen, and you're gonna see us go down some rabbit holes in real time without any editing.
Yeah, because by the time it goes out onto Spotify and iTunes, Dan's edited out all of our faux pas.
Yeah, and it normally takes quite a while, so we kind of got to be on our game now.
Yeah, it's usually me as well that has the faux pas, to be fair. So how are you, Dan, anyway?
Yeah, good. We've both been away on holiday since our last,
Oh, yes, we have.
haven't we? So we've probably got lots to talk about. It feels like ages ago now, though, since I've been back like nearly 2 weeks. Well, I've been back
Yeah,
2 weeks, so it's a nice change of pace, isn't it? But you soon get back into things. But I
I know.
really
It
enjoyed it.
feels like ages. You went to Greek island, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, and you went traveling around half of Europe, didn't you?
I was in Spain, Portugal, France. Yeah, it was good though. Really good. I was shattered though when I got back.
Yeah. But you were happy to see the dogs, were you, when you got back?
Oh yes, me dogs. They were
Not,
happy
not
to
the
see me
kids,
as
not the
well.
kids and husband.
The kids and
Oh,
husband. It's just me dogs. Yeah, I was happy to see the dogs again. It was nice. But yeah, we had a good time. But I was yeah, I know all about the Napoleonic Wars and things now. Peninsular Wars, not all of the Napoleonic Wars.
but you pretty much knew. You and your dad knew all of it before you went anyway, didn't you? Have
No,
you
we
learned?
didn't.
Oh, did you not?
We
No.
really didn't. Yeah, we've learned a lot. Oh, we've got quite a few people watching us now on Facebook. So, hello, welcome everyone. Drop us there. So, today we are talking about foods that you might think are healthy, but they're not, because there's a lot of gosh, what is it, like swirling waters, mud, smoke, all of that things around health foods. And while I was away, I was talking to quite a few people, and they're all like, "Oh, I'm going to start eating healthy, and I'm going to start eating this, that, and the other." And I'm thinking, that's not a healthy diet. And like the things that we're kind of told that are healthy really, really aren't in some cases.
Yeah, it's really misleading because people who like aren't really interested or have never kind of explored the health and fitness world, they get marketed to, and it's they get manipulated into buying products which they think are healthy, but they're often not, and they got like addictive substances in, like things like aspartame and sweeteners and sugar. So
Oh God, yeah,
so they
sweeteners. I
spend
haven't
all
even got
the
that on my list. You've got. Oh, so we're going to
yeah.
have different lists, aren't we?
So
Yeah.
they dive into this like health and fitness world, and they start and they might buy a few products, but the weight might not change. They might get some different symptoms like brain fog, and then they get so disheartened because what the time and effort to change these habits has yielded no results. And it's
Yeah.
almost not their fault because these billion-dollar companies have marketed to them and lied and cheated, and people get fooled, and it's not fair. And there's lots of them out there, but so we're going to try and spread some good information. Ones to avoid things you can like alternatives which you can put into place, which actually are health foods. But yeah, it's a minefield for people who, especially people who are going into it for the first time.
Yeah, and things like inflammation, diabetes, metabolic disease, all of these things are on the up. And this is probably one of the reasons why, because we're eating foods that weren't even like in existence like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And all the additives and like you're saying, the sweeteners, the estrogens and the hormones that are going into things,
Yeah,
it's no wonder that people are sick, because the food that we're eating is making us sick, and you are what you eat. or you are what you excrete is another word for it.
Yeah, exactly. They're all true. You are what you eat. Yeah, you are what you absorb as well. Because sometimes you might be eating food and your gut health might be that bad. You aren't even absorbing the vitamins and minerals that are in your food, if there's any in there at all. Anyway,
Exactly.
so yeah, like you said, all these kind of negative, nasty things in food are on the increase. Our health is on the decrease in general. So if you go back to a time like 100 years ago or something when all these things didn't exist, the rates of cancer and obesity and all these syndromes were so minimal compared to what they are now. There's just a direct correlation, isn't there? Especially for things like the World Health Organization and governments tell us to stop eating red meat and start eating grains and all these things. But our health's declining and the amount of cancer is increasing. There's just everything's in the wrong direction. Yet they keep telling us to do these things. So it's up to the likes of to me and you and other like people who are interested in health to spread some good information. But it feels like a losing battle, doesn't it?
I know. And you only, like you say, you only have to look around. You know, when I was sitting on holiday and stuff, and you'd have done the same because it's just a hazard of our jobs, isn't it? That we sit and look at people, the way they're walking, the way they're moving, how they look, and you can just see that
Oh yeah.
and you know, like you can just see how unhealthy people are, and
Mm.
it's quite scary, really. Nowadays, that the majority of people that you look at are, you know, overweight, got mobility issues, and got
Yeah.
all sorts of other issues going on. And the amount of medications that people take as well is just like, and that all interferes with what you're eating as well.
Yeah, it's I always come back to the saying that I heard of Paul Chek, which I like, is it's common but not normal.
Mm,
It's people think normal is to be a little bit overweight, to take a few pills every day. That's normal. That's not normal at all. That is abnormal for a human to be like that, but it's common and people get the two phrases mixed up. It's
yeah.
because everyone else does it, they must think, oh well, that's just normal. But no, it's absolutely abnormal to be in pain, to be overweight, to be addicted to foods. But it's yeah, it's so commonplace that like if someone is a healthy, shining example of health, they get called, "Oh, you're far too strict," "Live your life," all these type of things. But that should be what we're striving for. That is just normal to be healthy
Yeah.
and not on all these pills and addicted foods. I mean, I'm not perfect. Some of these things I'm gonna say in the list here, I've eaten them myself. I still do to some degree. Like it's a very hard battle because, like we said at the start, they can be addictive. Then they're hidden in lots of foods. Um, but yeah, the information is out there, and we're going to try and give some helpful advice.
Yes, indeed. So I've got a big long list here, Dan, and I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah,
And we've probably got some of the same things. But do you
we'll
want to
have a,
go first with
we'll have a
yours?
few crossovers. Well, I'm going to mention the first one, which has been in the news the last couple of days, which is aspartame. I'm sure you've
Mm,
heard of that. I think there was a leaked report by Reuters, and the World Health Organization have found out that aspartame is actually a carcinogenic, which a lot of health experts have known for years. Um, it's got some really negative health effects. So just a quick like kind of backstory: aspartame is a sweetener which they put in things like diet Coke and diet drinks instead of sugar, because we all know the negative health effects of having too much processed sugar. Like a regular Coke does have a lot of sugar in. Um, so people started to figure this out. So aspartame was added into a lot of diet drinks instead. So it cuts back on the calories, cuts back on the sugar, and people thought it was a better alternative, and that's what we were told back in the 80s when it was approved. But a lot of health experts have pretty much known that aspartame it's a carcinogenic, which is a cancer-causing substance.
mm,
Um, but again, the World Health Organization said, no, it's fine, just keep drinking it. Obviously, things like Diet Coke Coke's probably worth trillions, so they're not going to want to remove
yeah.
it, are they? So, but yeah, so just in the last couple of days, it's been in the news that aspartame it's been jumped up in the list of, I think it's a class 3 to a class 2B, but really it should be a class 1 carcinogenic. It's horrific for your health.
Oh,
Um,
Yeah, and it's in all sorts of things, isn't it? Do you want to know an interesting fact about aspartame? How do you say it? It's going to be
I
one of
think
those words that I
it's
can't say.
aspartame, but yeah, there's loads of people. There's about 10 different sayings, isn't it? I say
Yeah.
aspartame.
Well, I'm going to say the same as you.
Right.
It was invented in
Mm.
1965 by James M. Schlatter. Schlatter, I can't speak this morning, obtained the compound as part of research into anti-ulcer drugs. He discovered the sweetness completely by accident after licking it off his fingers, which was against every work safety regulation
Oh
where
yeah,
he worked.
I guess that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do. You just you're making drugs and you just lick them off your finger. So that's how aspartame was discovered. There you
Right.
go.
It's 200 times sweeter than sugar. So hence why it's so popular and so effective, because if you can remove all the sugar from a regular can of Coke, for instance, and just put this minimal amount of aspartame in, because it's got 200 times the sweetener effect, which means it's got like 0 calories. It's a perfect blend, isn't it? And it's probably addictive. I mean, I haven't read any studies or anything, but I'm sure it is.
Mm.
So yeah, so it's been, and it's funny when you were just discussing it. How do you pronounce it? And that's one of the rules you get taught in the Czech system. If you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't be eating it or drinking it.
Exactly. I was going to
Exactly.
say that if it's
Yeah,
got any unpronounceable things in it,
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
stay
If you can,
away,
a
avoid.
natural diet, you can say all the words. You can say chicken. You can say carrot. you can say water. Even like aspartame's a relatively small one. Some of them are like, got all the letters of the alphabet in 3 times.
Well, do you want to know what aspartame is also called? It's also called asculuflame. What is it? Asculifame K or E950 or E951. So you know when you've got all the E numbers in, that's what
Oh yeah,
it's
sounds really
disguised
healthy.
under. Yeah, sounds like a joy, doesn't it? You really want to eat
Absolutely,
some
yeah.
anti-ulcer byproduct drug.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so aspartame is first on my list. I know it's not particularly a health food, but it's a fake food. And if people are drinking, like we often speak about like bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be if you're unhealthy. So if you're drinking 6 cans of regular Coke a day, I know you've spoke about one of your previous clients who was drinking gallons of Coke a day. Like it's horrific for your health. So if you can then bridge the gap and you think, right, I'm going to make a smart move. I'm just going to take it in steps. I'm going to drink Diet Coke instead. There probably will be some. It's a step in the right direction, at least kind of mentally as well. You are making some effort to change, but then you've been tricked into thinking you're making a healthy choice, but now you're ingesting all this aspartame, which is going to have negative health effects. So what you would do is you would take, at least you've tried to make a positive step. You've been misinformed, but at least you've made a positive step. So what you would then do is try and have things like, because some people like if a drink, they like the fizz. They like the sensation of like carbonated stuff. So if you can just go to regular, maybe sparkling water instead, there's some like healthier alternatives. Maybe cut back on the amount and just do it over time, and eventually get to things like flavored water and then just regular water. So try and take it in steps. At least people are making the step in the right direction if they think Diet Coke is healthier. Again, they've been tricked, but just keep stepping in the right direction, and that would be kind of my advice to get off any type of carbonated drink. Because yeah, you rot your teeth, you get addicted. It's just not good, is it?
No, they're not good. Okay, so that's number one. My one is fruit juices, orange juice, and any kind of fruit juice. Because people think, oh, I'm going to have a healthy drink. Let's have fruit juice.
Yeah.
And actually, because we've all spoken about this hundreds of times as well, Dan. Like if you're eating a piece of fruit, you're eating the fiber, you're eating the vitamins, you're eating all of the whole fruit, which then slows its rate down through your system and doesn't spike your blood sugars because you've got all the fiber that's going on with it. Whereas if you're just drinking like orange juice, it just spikes your blood sugars. It's just sugar. And that's like people go, oh, I'm going to drink fruit juice, but actually you're just drinking sugar. So if you're going to drink fruit juice, and I've also got smoothies on the list as well. Smoothies are slightly better because they're got the fiber in, but shop bought smoothies are also full of unpronounceables. Probably better off if you make your own. I'll give you that one. But any kind of juice is not a great way to start the day. You're going to be shooting up your blood sugars. You know, you normally drink a fruit juice first thing on a morning, don't you? And just spike the blood sugars, and then you're on that roller coaster of up and down all day.
Yeah, and like we said before for the aspartame, it's people are doing it because they think they're taking a healthy step by drinking fruit juice, because it's made out of fruit. It probably has got vitamins and minerals and some nutrition in it, but drinking like a glass of orange juice from concentrate, it's probably the equivalent of drinking like 5 oranges. You wouldn't sit and eat 5 oranges in a go, would you? Like if you eat a full orange, yeah, like you say, you've got the whole nutritional complex. Whereas if you've just got the fruit juice from the concentrate, you've got all the sugar, all the fructose, and it's going to spike your blood sugar. So yeah, and like you said, it's because it stays on the shelf in the supermarket for quite a long time. It's got preservatives, it's got things like that. So yeah, what you think is that you're making a healthy choice. Again, it depends from what you're coming from. If you're coming from having a can of pop in the morning to drinking some fruit juice, it probably is a small step in the right direction, but it's still not great. If you really like fruit juice, it's a lot more awkward. Again, convenience comes into it, but if you make your own, if you get an orange and you squeeze it and you make your own, or you make your own smoothie, like you said, those innocent smoothie and things, they've got so much sugar in and preservatives, and they're so expensive as well. But I can understand why people would think they're healthy.
Yeah.
They think it's a better alternative than having a can of pop or something, which it is. It's probably has more vitamins and minerals and nutrition, but it's still not great.
No, and also Innocent sold out, didn't they? They sold out to Nestle or somewhere as well.
Coke, yeah.
Or Coke. So if you've got to look at who owns these companies as well, because often they're owned by Coca-Cola or
Yeah.
like. So yeah, so that's mine. Fruit juices and smoothies.
Yeah, that was on my list as well. My next one is, same as when we're talking about things you would kind of have like as a breakfast, is milk alternatives.
Oh, I've got that on my list as well.
I'm sure you have that on your list, yeah. So these are things like oat milk and like what's the ones like almond milk and things like that, and there's quite a few on the market now. I think anything that can just turn into some sort of white liquid, they just call it milk.
I know, it's quite minging, really.
Yeah, when milk should only come from an animal, a mammal, with nipples. That's where milk comes from. They should really be called waters, or I don't know, concentrates, because it's not milk.
Apart from coconut milk, can we have coconut milk?
I think it's water. I think it should be called coconut water, shouldn't it?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's because it's white.
Yeah. But these, so the kind of my big problem with these are, first of all, people often have these alternatives because they might have an allergy or a sensitivity to cow's milk. And the trouble is, cow's milk isn't actually that healthy anyway. A lot of it, unless it's raw or it's organic, a lot of the cow's milk, which we've all been brought up on, is full of antibiotics. It comes from sick animals. If it's like the semi-skimmed or the skimmed, it doesn't really have any fat in, any nutrition. So that's like what they're stepping down from is also bad. So cow's milk was generally pretty bad unless it's raw. So people, again, they're making a step in what they think is a good direction towards health. But then you get things like these oat milks and things, and the companies kind of guilt you into having it, like it's good for the environment and it's a healthier alternative. But they think it's a better choice for the planet. But then when you look at it, they monocrop these farms, which like destroys the environment, destroys the ecosystem. Like they kill all the soil. It's covered in pesticides and stuff like that. And then it's got multiple ingredients. It's not just oat or almonds. It's got seed oils. It's got sugars. It's got things to keep it on the shelf. So it's just so much manipulation. They guilt you into you thinking you make a better choice for yourself and the planet. But if you look into the small detail, well, not even the small details, the way it's farmed is horrendous for the planet, and it's probably not going to be even better for your health than having cow's milk. unless you were like allergic to cow's milk, but it's not that much of a better choice, really.
No, no, goat's milk. That's what I was always taught to drink because I had bad skin when I was young. Well, I still got bad skin, but it was always goat's milk
Yeah,
is a
but
good alternative.
the gold standard is, if you like milk, is to get raw milk. I know it's harder to get. I mean, I sometimes at the place in North Yorkshire, which is about 45 minutes away, maybe not that far, about half an hour away, and it sells raw milk, and it's absolutely delicious. Delicious. It's got all the vitamins, minerals. It's got the healthy fat, and even people who are sensitive to dairy can tolerate raw milk because it comes in its whole form with all the healthy bacteria and stuff. So yeah, going to oat milk and almond milk and whatever latest milk there is, it's often not better for you, and it's not better for the planet, which they've kind of guilted you into thinking. So that's a big one lately, I think, the last few years.
And while we're on the subject of milk and dairy products and everything else, you mentioned it there, skimmed and semi-skimmed milk. It's just like you might as well just drink water. There's nothing in it that is good for you, and it's so if you are going to have milk, get the full fat version, because at least you're getting some fat then, because again, we've done a whole episode on fat, haven't we, Dan? That fat is essential. It's called essential fatty acids. They're not they're part of the macro diet that you need. And so fat doesn't make you fat. So if you're going to drink milk, drink full fat versions. And that goes for everything as well, like full fat yogurts, anything that says low fat or reduced fat or zero fat. It just means they've taken the flavor out of it and the goodness out of it and filled it with chemicals and additives and sweeteners and sugar and crap. So
yeah,
always buy the full fat version.
Yeah, and if people are not getting the full fat version because they've been scared of the word fat and they think fat equals body fat, which it doesn't, having the full fat version is obviously going to, like pound for pound, it's going to have more calories because fat has 9 calories per gram. So fatty foods are higher in calories. So just have a smaller amount. If you're watching calories, or you're watching your weight, or you're looking to reduce body fat, just have a smaller amount. At least you're getting the health benefits of having full fat stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we said, again, if you just want to like break it down, raw dairy would be the best. Then organic would be after that. Then the full fat versions after that, and then it goes down the scale. So just wherever you're at in your health journey, or availability wise, just choose wherever you're at, but try and get the highest quality.
Yeah, definitely. And also, just while we're on the subject of yogurts and dairy products, low fat fruit yogurts are probably the worst thing that you can eat to like spike your blood sugar. They're just full of sugar and they're just minging. So don't ever eat a low fat fruit yogurt.
Just eat a piece of fruit.
Get some full fat yogurt.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so the milk alternatives, that was a big one for me. So
yeah, I've got
I'm
that
sure
one.
You had that on your list.
Yeah, is it my turn now?
Yep.
Kind of staying in the dairy zone, margarines and all these like crap, what they're called, spreads. And oh God, don't eat them. They're just full of additives. Wasn't margarine invented as a byproduct of something? I can't remember what, but it's not even good for you either. You just get butter, get proper butter.
I can't believe it's not butter. Like they say, you can't believe it should be allowed on the shelves. Really,
I can't believe people eat this.
Yeah. And just be careful, because when you buy an actual block of cow's dairy butter, it comes in like the foil, doesn't it? You should look at the ingredient. It's normally just dairy and sometimes a little bit of salt. But you can also get the ones that it comes in the plastic tubs, and you think it's because it's the same brand. It might be Lurpak or Anchor or something like that, but it's a spread, and it might be 50% dairy, 25% rapeseed oil, 25% another seed oil, because it keeps them softer, so you can spread them on toast and things easier. But these seed oils are horrendous for your health. So just take a second and just look at the ingredients, because even if you think you're making a better choice going from margarine to spreadable butter, there's half of the ingredients is horrendous for your health. So if you're gonna have butter, just try and buy 100% dairy butter. And for me, I love butter. The taste so much nicer. It's a good cooking ingredient. But yeah, luckily I was never brought up on margarines and spreads and stuff like that.
No, me neither.
I don't even know what the ingredients are, to be honest.
No, I think, like you say, it's made up of quite a few different ones, and yeah, not nice. Not nice.
No,
we don't want them in our diet.
No. So my next one is protein bars.
Oh, I've got that on my list, and granola bars.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think about granola bars. Yeah, that's a good one. But protein bars, it's marketing because especially for people who are especially trying to build muscle, it's kind of that niche. People see the word protein in the marketing, 20 grams of protein, 25 grams of protein, and you think, well, that's good. That's for such a small bar, that's a really high hit of protein. That's almost the equivalent of like a chicken breast, maybe not quite, but it's quite a lot. But when you look at the ingredients, often there's very high sugar. They've got chocolate in, things like that. They've often got oats in and stuff. You might be intolerant to gluten or grains, so that's going to wreck your health. And the protein comes from soy isolates, and soy is pretty horrific for your health, especially if you're a man. Contains isoflavones, if I'm pronouncing that right, which is a plant-based estrogen which bind to human estrogen, and the receptors cause like estrogenic effects. So if you're a man and trying to build muscle and you're boosting your testosterone, your estrogen levels through the roof by eating loads of soy, then it's just a backward step, not a forward step. So it's not going to help your muscle building at all. But because it says 20 grams of protein, you think, oh, I'm doing something really good. But in fact, you'd be so much better off just having a healthy meal with, a piece of steak or chicken or fish, because soy is just not good for your health at all. So
yeah, soy is pretty minging, especially for women as well. Like you can, like especially if you're in your peri to post-menopause and you've got estrogen levels that are finely balanced, you could eat a load of soy and just send the whole thing up crashing down. So it's no wonder that people have so much problems around menopause as well with everything, because you can easily wreck the whole finely tuned system by eating all these things like you're thinking are good for you when they're actually shooting up your estrogen levels. And like people think, oh, I'm losing estrogen, I need to eat more of it. But actually sometimes you don't. It's the balance of it all. So
yeah, again, it's like we said at the very start, it's confusing because people think they're doing something good, but really it's having detrimental effects, which leads to so much frustration and confusion. Like you say, 20 grams of protein, you think, oh great, I'm getting 20 grams of protein, but it's swung you in the wrong direction, not the right direction.
yeah.
You're trying to do something good, and it's actually you're going backwards. So there's probably some sort of placebo effect, because if you don't know the full details, you think I've had 20 grams of protein, so it might balance out. I don't know, but there's better alternatives.
And also protein shakes as well. Like I know me and you use the same one, which is really expensive one, but it doesn't have anything in it, and it's all made from collagen, isn't it? Collagen protein. But if you look at some of those, like my son, he sometimes comes back with one of the protein shakes, and it's just like full of chemicals, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, it's especially the pre-made, like the pre-bottled stuff, which you can just buy, like a milkshake stuff, because that's to last on the shelf for so long. It's often got lots of preservatives in, and like sugars or sugar alternatives to make it sweet and taste nice, like aspartame and all these other things. So yeah, unfortunately, not very good.
Not good. And whenever you go and sit in the shops and you see these protein bars and you look at them and you think, oh yeah, they're so expensive. And then you look at a bag of nuts, like unsalted nuts. You could just buy them and eat them and have the same effects. But they don't look flashy.
I would say on average, a protein bar in a shop would cost £1.50 to £2.50, somewhere in that range. You can go and buy like a bag of beef jerky or biltong or something like that, which has roughly the same amount of protein, but it's just dried beef, and your body can absorb all the nutrients a lot better. There's no or less nasty preservatives in. Sometimes if you look at the quality of biltong, it can be a little bit off, but in general, it's a far better option, I would say.
Yeah, especially if you get the organic stuff. Can you remember when I got obsessed with eating protein after weight training? I was having bags of biltong.
cashew nuts are like in every handbag you had and stuff like that.
I had nuts built on, boiled eggs. I had everything
Yeah.
just in my sports bag afterwards. I was like, but yeah, works. Right.
What's next?
I've got rancid oils next. Did we kind of mention them with the margarines? But margarines are rancid oil. So rancid oils are ones that when exposed to heat and light, they become carcinogenic, which again, we don't want them. A sunflower oil is one. It's one of the processes of creating the oils that get this. And you might think sunflower oil is like really good for you, but soy and canola, seed oils, not good. Seed oils are not good. Seeds in their form are really good. Seed oils.
And they're so common if you look at ingredients in your food, they're all over the place.
It's no wonder like cancer rates are going through the roof, is it? And inflammation and all of this stuff. Like these things that we're eating just all the time. And I'm not saying I'm perfect and you're not saying you're perfect either. We eat these things as well. But it's like being aware of it, I think, is the main thing.
Awareness is the first step. And like when you mentioned cancer there, like it's a real like bugbear of mine when you see like cancer's horrific. And there's all these adverts which say like Cancer Research UK, there's billions get spent on one day we will cure cancer, one day we will cure cancer. Well, you're never going to cure cancer as long as you're putting this shit in your body. It doesn't matter.
I know. It really annoys me as well.
You know, it's really clever. It'll adapt. And it's like, what's the saying? An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So instead of why spend £10 billion on trying to cure cancer, which I agree, some people get cancer and it's horrific, and the research needs to be done. But if 10 billion was spent on educating people how to eat healthy and live a healthy lifestyle, the rates of cancer would decrease so significantly. You wouldn't need to spend 10 billion on how to try to cure it. Do you know, it's so backward the way it's worked out. And all these adverts where it say 1 in 2 people will get cancer. It's like almost like they're willing it into your life, like they're telling you're going to get cancer. And it really annoys me. It's just like people are just so convinced. I wonder which 1 in 2. So you look around your family room and there's 4 of you. Think, I wonder which 2 of us might get cancer. It's just like, it's like programming you to believe it's just normal. It's so abnormal.
It is.
50% of the population to get cancer. It's crazy, but it's just people just accept it, and I used to until I got into health and fitness, that was just normal. It's crazy. That should not happen. It's madness, isn't it?
I know, isn't it something like 90%? Like you can prevent 90% of cancers are preventable through lifestyle factors.
Diet and lifestyle, yeah. Imagine if you just got an adequate amount of exercise every day. You got 8 hours of sleep. You just hydrated yourself with healthy water, and you had an organic diet, like kind of right for your metabolic type. These most like you say 90 to 95% of diseases, illnesses would just vanish. But that is not good for the pharmaceutical industry. It would just crash and burn. So what do? The pharmaceutical industry makes all the unhealthy food, covers it in all the pesticides, and then sells you the solution in the form of a drug. So they've got you from the womb to the tomb. It's a very sick but well-oiled machine. It's not good. And people like Paul Chek and a lot of health experts have been speaking about this for years. But like I said at the start, it feels like a losing battle because the giants, they're bigger than some governments, aren't they? The amount of money they make.
Exactly.
It's scary, yeah.
I know. And it's like we take advice from our health from people who aren't healthy.
Yeah, don't take health advice from sick doctors. It's look at a shining example of health and use them as an example and see what they're doing and just copy them, because success leaves clues, doesn't it?
Exactly. How many medications are you on, Dan?
Well, 0. Apart from which I hate, I've had to take a few hay fever tablets, but even then I'm like, I feel like I'm a sellout when I take them. And when I have to walk Rufus in the field, it just drives me mad. Yeah. But honestly, I don't even think they do that much good because I'm still sneezing and sniffling. So
yeah, me neither. I'm not on any either, apart from the odd hay fever tablet, which you're right, and the odd bit of eczema cream when my skin goes crazy. That's it.
Yeah, and it's a good like disclaimer, like we said at the start. Like, we are definitely not perfect. A lot of these things I've listed here, like you say, when I went on holiday, I did have like we haven't mentioned alcohol. Alcohol's not a fake health food. We all know it's bad for you, but I would have a couple of drinks. I would have a glass of Coke, or I would have like a dessert, but I do it willingly, knowing that this is bad, and if I suffer the consequences, it's on me. I'm not naive anymore because I'm aware. Do you know what I mean? I know I'm not going to be perfect the rest of my life, but awareness is the first step. And like, if I suffer the consequences, it's on me. Yeah, I take responsibility for my own health. And if I get ill or something, I think, right, well, where am I out of balance? What have I done?
Mm,
You know,
yeah.
so that comes into it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've now not drank alcohol for a year and a half. So I'm
That's brilliant.
still on the no alcohol. I don't even think I don't really even feel like I need it anymore. Like, it's one of the best things I've ever done for my health, I must say. I don't want to become too evangelical about the whole thing,
Yeah.
but it is really good. I mean, when I was on holiday, I did have the odd glass of Coke, which is like the first time I've ever had Coke, but I can't even remember the last time I had
Yeah.
Coke. It was just so hot, you know, when you just want a cold drink. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is the first time I've had Coca-Cola for years. And actually it was nice to have it like that in a
Oh,
in a
yeah.
really hot environment. But it's not something I've never had one since I come back. It's not like I've have it again.
Yeah.
You just get like, I was drinking like 4 liters of water. It was 45 degrees. So
That's the thing.
I
It's
got,
like we can't deny that having a nice or a cold glass of Coke tastes nice. It tastes nice. It's full of sugar. It's meant to taste nice. And
yeah,
so a lot of these things, like a protein bar, because it's got lots of sugars and sweeteners, it tastes nice. It's covered in chocolate, but that's where they get you. Do you know what I mean? It's that momentary pleasure, but it's the long term negative health effects. Every once
yeah,
in a while, it's probably all right. Like you say, the 80-20 rule. A glass of
yeah,
wine every
eighty
now and again
twenty.
will probably be all right. But we know it's bad for you, and it's amazing that you've gone a year and a half without alcohol. And you know what? It's a really good trend that's happening.
I
Like
think so.
it's really on the rise, especially in like the younger generation as well. Some people, a lot of them now, are just saying, one, because of the expense, how expensive it is to drink these days. But it's a really good trend that people are just not turning to drink anymore.
Mm,
I think, and there's a lot of beer alternatives like zero alcohol. So like it's bridging that gap in between. There's a young guy I work with, Tom, and he's I think he's 18 or 19, and he's so shout out to Tom because I know he'll be listening.
hi, Tom.
And he's been off alcohol for quite a while, and he's really interested in his health, and it's so good to see. And a lot of people I think should be taking that step as well. I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I didn't do it when I was 18, but it was a different time then. It was so much cheaper. It
Yeah,
was just more normal. And I know, like my parents' generation, it was even worse. It was you were expected to drink 4 or 5 times a week as a
yeah,
man back then as well. So I'm really pleased it is going in that direction because the negative effects of alcohol are not good at all.
yeah. I just think, you know, like it causes so many problems in your health that you don't even realize that it does. And it's a poison, isn't it? There's no
Mm.
getting away from it. It is a poison, and you
Oh yeah.
willingly poisoning yourself. Like I said, I'm not going to get evangelical.
I think
But
you can't because it's a difficult one, alcohol, because some of the best times, especially when you're young and you're with
oh
your
god,
friends,
yeah,
with alcohol, it's like sometimes you have memories that last a lifetime. So I understand it is difficult, but
yeah, I had my time
ultimately,
with it. I had fun.
yeah, ultimately, if you're interested in your health and you cut out alcohol, you're going to see some benefits.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't actually have alcohol on my list, but no,
Well, because we all know it's not a fake health food. So
it's definitely not fake.
yeah, it does make you
Um,
feel good, but it's temporary.
well, every now and then they say that red wine's good for you, but you would get the same effects from eating red grapes,
Yeah,
not as
exactly.
much of them. So
Yeah.
it's not really. That every now and then, like a little bit of research comes out, doesn't it? And you think, who's funded that? I wonder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Blue Nun,
all the money.
Guinness.
Yeah.
Um, let's go. I've got a bit of a group of them here. The Four White Devils.
All right, yeah, that's a term I haven't heard for a while.
Yeah, I can remember that Paul Check one. And they are white sugar, white flour, white salt. What was the other one?
White
White,
dairy, white
white
processed
dairy.
dairy. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, anything white and rice as well. White rice.
Mm. I think rice has, at least it's got some nutritional benefit. It's not massive, but if you struggle with like a heavy carbohydrate diet, it's going to spike your blood sugar significantly.
Massively.
So I think if
Um,
you do have rice, try and have it with some fat and protein in like a meal. Don't just have a load of
yeah.
rice cakes because you're probably going to struggle.
Oh, we've got a comment here from Melanie. Hi, Melanie. Hi, we know that illnesses need medical insights there. Yeah, definitely. However, I think healthy lifestyle can reduce so many issues. It can, like diabetes, high blood pressure, and mobility. It's so true, Melanie. And Melanie's also another good example of like why you keeping fit and healthy. And people say to oh, you're so lucky you're a certain shape or a certain way. It's not luck. It's not luck in it, is there? It's not luck that we don't have high blood pressure or we don't not overweight. There's no luck about it. It's about being aware and trying to live a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, and a lot of things are reversible as well. Like if you might be unfortunate enough to get like a really nasty cancer, and I'm not talking about those things, but things like type 2 diabetes, just being overweight, these are reversible. The human body is amazing. If you do what it was intended to do and feed it how it was intended to be fed, you'll fall into shape. You'll be healthy. You'll be happy. And if you're eating toxic foods if you swing the pendulum the other way, you'll have a toxic looking body, and also you'll have, this is things I've like been thinking about recently, like toxic thoughts, like depression and everything, and anxiety is on the rise. But if you're putting toxic foods into your body, your brain and your psyche, that's going to become toxic as well. It makes total sense. You're going to have toxic thoughts if you're putting toxic crap in your body all the time. It's not just your physical manifestation, your body fat and your muscles and your joints. The way you think is going to change, and your feelings and your hormones are all going to be changed. So if you think you're depressed or you're suffering with anxiety, even cleaning up your diet is going to have a big effect.
Yeah, you're right. And like people watch the news and then the adverts, like you've already mentioned, the like cancer adverts, you've got the incontinence adverts, like like that it's normal to be incontinent for women of a certain age. And then you've got like, so we're kind of being programmed into this, and every kind of I don't know, like drama show that you watch, the professional women all turn to alcohol on a night. Like the only way you can have a good time is to be drinking alcohol. It's programming our brains into like we've got to live this way, and it's like, no, you don't have to live this way. It's totally, what you eat, what you think. It's all about like being on a higher vibration.
Yeah, and cigarettes used to be the same as well. Luckily, that's changed.
Yeah, it was only in the 1960s that we're still saying that pregnant women should take cigarettes to help with the birth.
It's just crazy. like the tobacco industry is it's a colossus. So the amount of money they can
exactly
they can bribe doctors, they can bribe industries. They would sponsor sports teams, tobacco companies. So yeah,
that was only till recently, wasn't it? It was the Embassy snooker and stuff.
Yeah, and the F1 used to have like Marlboro written on the side of the race car. Like, and these are athletes who are meant to be the pinnacle of health. So yeah, follow the money. There's so much of it going on. It is scary, but like you say, awareness is the first step. At least like we're telling people, and there is like there's hope because there's alternatives out there. You don't have to do these things, but like if you can just be aware of how like pervasive it is and how programmed you've been by television and things like that, it's you can kind of step back and think, Jesus Christ, yeah, it's almost not your fault. But then once you do know about it, then it's up to you.
Yeah, you're right, Dan.
Yeah.
Yay.
But the last thing I've got on my list of foods is this went through a really big spike a few years ago, and I think it's kind of coming down because people know it's crap. It was all these fake meats. So Beyond Meat and Quorn and fake steak and crap like that. It seemed to be getting pushed massively. And I don't know whether I'm just not seeing it anymore, but it seems to have fallen off again now. People just aren't buying it because, like, if you want steak, just have a steak. It's healthy. But if you look at some of the ingredients on a fake steak, it's full of preservatives. You can't pronounce the ingredients. It's just made in a factory. It's not made by a cow. It's crazy. So I'm glad they have kind of declined. I think a lot of the big industries were suffering like massive losses. They were like, when you get like a 10-year plan to make money, it just wasn't going to plan, and they were having to lay off a lot of staff and stuff. I know that happened to Beyond Meat anyway. But I just hope, I know this is another trend could be starting. You hear like these big insect farms where they're trying to get people's protein through insects and stuff like that. I hope that doesn't take off, because mankind will not survive, and men won't become, big alpha males by eating insects. So, please, people, just eat steak.
Just eat real steak. Just eat real food. That's the thing, isn't it? Just eat real food.
Can you pronounce the ingredients? Does Mother Earth provide it for us? Great.
Exactly. Can you remember, like, there was a trend a while ago to eat like a cauliflower head instead of a steak? Like, can you remember that? Like, Marks and Spencer's were like trying to market this slice of cauliflower. It's a steak. It's just like, yeah.
Luckily, I think that there's enough of like an innate primal instinct in us to not let the meat industry ever go away. Do you know? Like, there's a reason why most people eat meat. It's because it's so good for your health. And I don't know why there's an agenda to get rid of meat and things like that. I don't agree with these commercial farmer principles and the way animals get treated. I'm sure there's a lot of things can change, and I'm a hypocrite in some regards to that, because I still eat commercially raised meat. But I think getting rid of it totally is going to have a more detrimental effect. Because our DNA dictates that we should eat it.
I don't really eat commercially bred stuff, because all of my stuff comes from our local butcher, who puts a list of the farms, and everything is just from like within a 10-mile radius. That's the only meat that I eat. But I agree. Like, I don't agree with all that big farming things, and you're right. But if you can just meat from the butcher, just go to your local butchers and eat that from there, and it's you know where it's come from. Then, like, ask the butcher. The butchers are really knowledgeable about it.
Yeah, and you can even just tell looking at the quality of the products, even just looking at them. It's just you can tell it's healthier from a healthier animal.
Oh my god! When we go out for a steak or something, like, we rarely eat steak now from a restaurant, because it's never as good as what we get from the butcher.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, when you pay a fortune for it in a restaurant as well, don't you?
I know. Like, there's so many times we've had steak in a restaurant now and gone, it's not as nice as what we can get from home.
Not worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
My local butcher, you can get 2 flat iron steaks. I think it's like £7.50, and the quality is amazing. And it's like you would pay like almost 20 quid for one in a restaurant, and I get two for £7.50. So do make the effort, and obviously it supports local small businesses as well.
And when you buy chicken from the butcher, it's massive. Like, one chicken breast can feed like a family of 4, whereas if you get them from Tesco's or somewhere, you have to, the little tiny ones, aren't they? And they're all injected with water. Oh, they've got those chlorine injected chickens now. Did you see that? They're coming online in some supermarkets. So watch out for those guys. We don't want to be eating chlorine.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it was about a year ago. It was because the chlorine chicken it's been like going on in America for years, but now I think they're starting importing it over here.
Yeah, that's because they dropped that law, didn't they? That prevented it. Yeah. So sneaky.
You got some chlorine chicken in you, yeah. That'll do your health wonders.
Sounds delightful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. I've got 2 final things on my list. God, we've been going for nearly an hour here. Yeah. Well done, everyone. Is anyone still listening to me and Dan ranting on? So my next one is breakfast cereals. We all know why cornflakes was invented, don't we?
Yeah, you've said this one a few times, and it's a really interesting fact. I think you should say it again.
So cornflakes was invented by Dr. Kellogg, who wanted to stop. He was a Victorian, and he wanted to stop young boys from masturbating. And he thought that really bland, dry food would help prevent those toxic thoughts, Dan.
It probably made them masturbate more. They probably had so little excitement coming from their life eating fucking Kellogg's every day. They probably had to go the opposite.
Eating cornflakes every day. I need a bit of excitement in my life.
Yeah.
So, cornflakes are Ming from Planet Ming.
Yeah.
So,
and people put cornflakes, which you just pure carbohydrates, so there's no fat or protein. Then they pour skimmed milk on top, which is
Yeah.
no fat or protein. So it's a very bad start to your day.
Then they probably put sugar on top as well, just to add some flavour.
Give some flavour, yeah.
With a nice glass of orange juice, just to spike the blood sugars a bit more.
Yeah. So no wonder by like 10:30, you feel as though you could eat a horse because like your blood sugar's going crazy and you need some actual nutrition.
Yeah, so breakfast cereals, and they like go full of iron and vitamin D. It's just because they've injected things into them, and
Yeah, fortified with vitamin K. But I think when you fortify something, it doesn't actually work anyway. There's a lot of studies around like fortification of foods, and it's not as good as what you think it is.
so
And it's so dry. Like, imagine all the enzymes in your body having to work as hard as they can to convert those dry cornflakes, which you just look like bits of concrete, into actual nutrition. It just looks like it wrecks your gut, doesn't it?
yeah, it's not good for your gut health. We haven't really talked about gut health, but all of these foods are not good for your gut health.
No.
And my final thing is anything that says gluten-free. If you are gluten-free, if you're a celiac, then obviously you have to stay clear of anything with gluten in. But usually gluten-free, when they remove the gluten, it's the same with removing the fat. They put a load of additives into like gluten is what binds foods together. And they normally just replace it with some other glue chemical nastiness.
Yeah. If you're gluten free, just eat something else. If you love I don't know, pasta all the time, replace. So this is actually one of the things I do, because I don't know if I'm pretty sure I'm gluten intolerant. I'm not celiac. I don't have celiac, but got a sensitivity. And remind me at the end, I want to talk about something else as well. But when I cook a meal for me and Helen can tolerate wheat and gluten just fine. And she loves pasta. So when I make pasta for us, I just use, it sounds weird, but I just use potatoes. I chop up potatoes into small pieces. I make the same meal, but I have so potatoes instead of pasta. It sounds odd, but I've got the pesto, I've got the meat, I've got mushrooms and sauce and stuff. So I know I'm not going to get the negative side of the health effects from eating gluten. Even though I love pasta, I just know it's not good for me. It's only like maybe the past 3 or 4 years it's developed. I don't know whether the quality of the wheat's gone down or whether I've just developed an intolerance over time. So switch it out. You might be okay with grains, you might be able to eat rice. But if you kind of tolerate gluten, the chances are a gluten-free bread is still going to have some nasty shit in it that you can't tolerate anyway.
So yeah, anything gluten-free, just avoid.
Just have an alternative, yeah. Like a different food group.
Yeah, so that's the end of my list, Dan. What else did you want to talk about?
Oh, so we should probably maybe talk about this on another episode, but I'll dedicate a full episode to it. I have just, like, speaking about food intolerances, I don't know if you've done like a food intolerance test before. Have you ever done one? I
haven't done a proper one.
So I've just ordered a really expensive one that Lee Brandon on his podcast recommended. Let's see if I can pronounce this right. The company's called Precision Point Diagnostics, and it's a P88 dietary antigen test. So I think I get 10 points for saying that without getting it wrong. So it's a blood test. You prick your finger and you fill 4 swabs with blood, and it tests you against 88 of the most common foods eaten. Tells you if you're allergic. Because I've been reading loads into it, and it's interesting because you can be fully allergic, like, people who are allergic to peanuts, and you have an anaphylactic response. That's pretty obvious. But there's others which you can be very sensitive to, but your body develops coping mechanisms. So you might be allergic to it, but your body's let you cope with it. You still get really bad long-term health effects, but you can eat it without dying. So like there's the short-term response, which is anaphylactic shock, but then there's ones which aren't as bad, which you can tolerate, but you're getting long-term negative health effects. So it might be hard to diagnose those ones because they go under the radar. So I sometimes get like IBS and a bad stomach and stuff, and I've really struggled to pinpoint what it is. I'm pretty sure it's gluten, but I'm not sure if it's things like dairy and coffee, because you have them together. It's hard to single out which one it is. So I've just recently ordered the test that's going to come in the post. So when I get the results, maybe we should talk about doing it.
Yeah, because I got all those tests with Lee. Can you remember when I got my gut microbiome analysed?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that was interesting to
That's the
see
thing.
what.
Like this, like getting actual evidence. Like
Yeah.
it makes it like it enforces what you should do and it clears things up, doesn't it? So
Yeah, then you know where your baseline is, don't you? And then if what you're doing is having any effects. That's the only way to do it, really. It's a proper way to do it, but it's
yeah,
expensive.
it's expensive, and also I'm scared about pricking my finger with a needle because I don't like it. I'm scared of needles,
Oh, you big wuss.
so I'll probably pass out while I do it.
When I was pregnant and I had to inject insulin, you have to do the finger prick test. When you first start doing it,
Yeah.
by the end it was easy, and I had to inject insulin into us.
Yeah,
And by the end, when you first start, you're going, oh, I can't do it.
Like.
But you get over it.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dan?
No, so that's all the ones I had. I knew we would have like an overlap of things we would speak about, and there's probably some we've missed off because there is quite a few. But
yeah, if anyone else can think of any, let me know.
Yeah.
Let us know. And yeah, thank you for listening. What have I got to tell you all in other news? Oh, in other news, my book is I've just had it back from the proofreader. So now I've got to do a final proofread and it should be out soon. That's exciting.
Is that just to make sure like there's no spelling mistakes and all that type of thing? And
oh my god, writing a book is the biggest pain in the arse ever. Like writing like you write your book, right? You think, yeah, I'm writing a book, cool. Then that's the easy part. Then there's like the editing process, which then then you cut it all out and like cut half of it down because you're waffling on. Then there's the proofreading. Then there's the second proofread. Then the third proofread. And then it's like, oh my god! By the end, you think, okay, is anybody going to like this bit? Is anyone going to read it? So
why did I ever do this?
Why did I start this process? But every book in the world will have gone through that process, but it's so time consuming and also like soul destroying. It's just like, oh God, please.
But once you do it and you release it and people enjoy it and you see people reading it, then and it's going to last for eternity as well. It's something that you've created. It's a physical thing that can last a lifetime. So it's I'm pleased for you doing that because it's a big undertaking. I think I hear a lot of authors say like it's soul destroying trying to write a book.
It is really. So hopefully that should be out. I'm aiming for September time, I think. Like, but that's not that far away now.
No.
It seemed like a long way away when I was in April. But anything else on your side, Dan?
No, just looking forward to getting stuck into a few more podcast episodes and hopefully people have enjoyed our live stream.
Yay! So just let us know, and this will be out on our Spotify and iTunes accounts on Monday
morning. Yeah,
probably be an edited version, of course.
Only very slightly these days. I've got over ourselves. Like we can't be too precious about all the ums and ahs and stuff like that.
When we first started, we didn't know what to say, did we? We were just like staring at each other going, oh. Now we're like, it just flows from us. We're like professionals.
Yeah, it's just exposure therapy, isn't it? And the more you do it, the more you do get better at it, but you stop worrying about the small things.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. And you can find me on my website, organicpilates.co.uk, and on Instagram, Organic Pilates and Breathwork, and on Facebook, Organic Pilates and Holistic Health. Where can I find you, Dan?
You can just find me in the gym at Coxo. That's
So you find Dan in the gym. He specializes in strength training and he's just an all-round good egg. Have you got any space for clients?
Not currently, no, because I've had so much going on with the house. And my latest thing yesterday was we're getting the loft converted, getting it boarded out for storage. And there was a wasp's nest up there. So the joiner nearly put his foot through the ceiling trying to run away from all the wasps stinging him. And Rufus ripped his bed to shreds. And
Rufus is the dog, by the way.
yeah, he's not the joiner. So I've just got all that stuff going on. And that's just priority at the moment. So I'm not taking on any new clients as of now.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's all good. Okay then, guys. Well, thank you for listening. Have a fabulous day, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Hey, everyone.